This is the market rundown for the week of January 16th. Last week, we saw the markets move higher. Obviously, the big report that came out was on Thursday, and that was the CPI report. And essentially, it came in line with what estimates thought. You can see the core inflation rate year over year was right at the consensus of 5.7%. The overall inflation rate came in exactly 6.5%. The month over month just came a tick lower here. So pretty much came in line, and you saw the markets move a little bit on it, but really throughout the whole week, they were going up. This week, the big news is on Thursday when Vice Chair of the Fed, Brainerd, speaks. Scroll down at 1:15 p.m. That will be a big market mover. She is certainly been probably the biggest dove with the Fed, or one of the biggest doves at the Fed. And so it will be interesting to see what she says. If she comes out hawkish, then watch the markets probably move lower. Obviously, if she comes out dovish, then markets will probably shoot upward. And really, the Fed is what's driving the markets right now. It's the big market mover. Probably even more inflation. Obviously, inflation is a big deal, but they're looking. Investors are looking at inflation to try to figure out what the Fed is doing. And if we look at the market as what it's done really since the beginning of the year, it's really just going up. So we can see here, basically beginning of the year, and it's just kind of going up. And you're seeing an interesting little. Kind of a contradictory story here. One instance, you have this trend line, and we're hitting on it right now, and we're also hitting the 200 moving average, 200-day moving average there. So, that technical analysis would make you think that it's the market should move down based on that alone. But you can also see kind of got a reverse head and shoulders. So, you kind of seeing two different things on the technical analysis. And that's why I do think Thursday is going to be a pretty big market mover, because if she comes out and says, they're hoping to cut rates by the end of the year, which I don't think she'll say that. In September, she said that the Fed needs to remain on course. And obviously you have Powell, who's saying, he doesn't expect any rate cuts at all this year. I imagine she's going to say something of the same sort. But nonetheless, Powell said this earlier this month, and you still see the markets move up. It's almost like the markets don't fully believe in Powell. And if we look at the Fed's rate, as I showed you on last video, you can actually see this. Here's the Fed fund rate. We've looked at this before in the last video, but you can see what the market thinks the federal fund rate is going to be. It's going to go up to 5 and then hold there for just a little bit, and then start being cut. And by the end of the year, finish just above 4.5. So the problem with this, as I mentioned before, is that inflation really isn't linear. It has peaks, has waves. And I believe we're seeing that in the market now. So for this story to play out, basically CPI, the number has to come in pretty much lower every month. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think you'll have some surprise months where it CPI is much hotter than expected. And if you listen to Powell, and you kind of hear the things he's looking at, or they're looking at, he's been very, very strong on, hey, rates are going to go up at least to 5, and they're going to hold there much longer than what people think. And, there's not going to be any cuts. So we'll see. We'll see if the market is right. It doesn't seem like the market really believes Powell at this point. And you can actually see with this, if you look at the financial conditions, we pulled this up. We looked at this before, but I mentioned this. The higher this line is, the higher above zero it is, the worse financial conditions are. And you can see it's gone down, and that's exactly what the Fed doesn't want. They don't want financial conditions to ease, battling inflation. And so we've seen the market go up. If we look at the Qs, we can see what the Qs have done. This has just bounced off this resistance and has gone up. Let's see, it's going up. Let me try to get the end of the year. It's going up 6%, a little over 6%. But the problem is when financial conditions ease, you start seeing inflation. Here's copper. Copper's going up 13%. If we look at gasoline, we can see gasoline prices have gone up. So it's going up about 14%. If we look at WTI, about 11%. And then even if we pull up a ETF, a commodity ETF that has a wide array of commodities, we can see this is DBC from Invesco. This is up about 6.25% from the beginning of the year. So the problem is, as these commodity prices go up, so does inflation. So the Fed has an interesting decision to make. Is Brainerd going to come out and be extremely hawkish and shock the markets? Are they going to try to wait for a stronger CPI report to come out before they do that? Or, I'm just completely misreading the markets and CPI falls in line as the market does, and the Fed will later cut rates later on this year. If that happens, obviously you'll see the technology stocks take off. It'll be like old times again. I would also highly expect the commodities keep rising if that's the case. I just don't see that happening. But certainly the beginning of the year has been interesting to watch, as we got something like Bitcoin, which is up about close to 30%, right? So you can see Bitcoin is up almost 30%. Already, this is not something that I predicted, but we'll see what happens. I think Thursday is a pretty big day. It would be an appropriate time for a market top. You see the market come back down, of course, if she doesn't come out hawkish enough, and I believe that's the right word. I don't think she has to come out and be a dove completely, but if she's not extremely hawkish, I think you'll see the markets go higher as well, just based off that. So Thursday's a pretty big day, and I think you could actually see the markets pivot at that point, depending on what she says, or if she's not strong enough. I think you'll see probably the markets continue to go up until some data comes in, like a CPI report that comes hotter than expected. And the Fed says, we have to raise rates more than what the market thinks. So Thursday is the big day to watch out for. We will see what happens. Best of luck.